This story took place on September 15, 2012. Thomas Siebold, a 31-year-old outdoor enthusiast and traveler, set out alone on a daring expedition into the heart of the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge in Alaska. He dreamed of conquering this wild, untouched land. 2 months later, long after his expected return date had passed, he mysteriously disappeared. On November 11th, a search party combing the snow-covered slopes discovered a ransacked camp halfway up one of the mountains in the preserve. From the case files, I gathered that all the evidence pointed to the camp belonging to Thomas. Among the debris and torn tent fabric, they found his ripped jeans, camera, phone, and personal journal. But the strangest thing was that Thomas's body was never found. The entries in his journal and the last photos on his camera painted a chilling picture. He had spent the final weeks of his life in fear, pursued and tormented by an unknown creature. Thomas Siebold, an experienced survival instructor from Wisconsin, was well known in hiking circles for his extensive experience in the wilderness. He had years of intensive survival training behind him, and an all-consuming passion for exploring the most remote and untouched corners of the planet. He had traveled to many of the world's greatest mountain ranges, conquering peaks and crossing glaciers. He knew how to build shelters out of snow, start a fire by friction, hunt with homemade tools, and survive alone in harsh conditions at temperatures as low as -25 degrees Fahrenheit for several weeks in a row. His friends often said that if anyone was capable of surviving in the most extreme conditions, it was Thomas. He often shared his thoughts and impressions from his travels on social media, but in places where there was no internet access, he entrusted his thoughts and experiences to the pages of his trusty journal. I learned that one of his most ambitious plans was a trip to Arctic Gate National Park, a vast wilderness in northwestern Alaska, located entirely above the Arctic Circle and bordering the Arctic Ocean. This park is the largest national park in the United States and the second largest forest park in the world. It covers 8,470,000 acres, which is roughly the size of Belgium. The park's ecosystem is virtually untouched by humans, earning it a reputation as the end of the world. The park is home to wildlife such as caribou and grizzly bears, and has even served as the setting for local legends about the Yeti. On November 11, 2012, a remote outpost in northwestern Alaska received a report that Thomas had not shown up for his scheduled return flight. Authorities immediately launched a search operation, focusing their efforts on the area where he was last seen. The search continued for 13 days, but extreme weather conditions in the vast expanses of wilderness forced the operation to be suspended for the safety of the rescue teams. Despite Thomas's outstanding survival skills, authorities assumed that he had most likely become lost in the vast forest. Alaska's unpredictable weather and rugged terrain posed a serious threat, and the chances of finding his body were considered extremely low. Nevertheless, his family refused to give up hope. As I mentioned earlier, thanks to the joint efforts of park staff and family members, a campsite believed to belong to Thomas was discovered near Chandler Lake, west of the Brooks Range. As investigators began examining the photographs and diary entries, a truly horrifying picture began to emerge. Thomas was following a pre-planned route to a remote village called Kobuk, located in the Brooks Range, with a population of just 148 people. Isolated and hard to reach, Kobuk was supposed to be a waypoint on his journey through the wilderness, but he never made it there. He spent part of his expedition at a temporary shelter known as Cyber House, a fully equipped survival base that allowed visitors to cook, rest, and live independently in the wilderness. In his diary, he described moments of peace and deep awe at the wild beauty of Alaska. September 15th. The weather is perfect this morning. Words cannot convey the indescribable beauty that surrounds me. Every cloud-shrouded peak, every stream, every bird, even the swift, elusive animals in the forest seem to be calling to me. I feel that this is where I belong. September 20th. Tonight, under the full moon, the sun set, bathing the icy landscape in a fiery red glow. Dinner was wonderful, salmon and berries. Your love and support give me strength. The people of Alaska are incredibly kind, even though we've only just met. These serene and contemplative entries came to an abrupt halt on September 28th, when something terrifying disrupted his peace. September 28th. A monster came to my camp tonight. It wouldn't stop pounding on the door. At first, I thought it was someone from the neighboring village, but when I got closer, I heard a howl. Deep, unnatural, and blood-curdling. Whatever it was, it possessed immense strength. It seemed to me that it could tear the hut to shreds. I didn't know what to do. I hid inside all night, unable to sleep. I'm leaving here tomorrow morning. Immediately after this terrifying encounter, according to his diary, he intended to walk 20 kilometers to Lake Chandler and set up a new camp there. But his last entry, dated October 11th, revealed growing fear and uncertainty. It read as follows: "I've been away from the village for several days now. My food supplies are limited, but they should last until I reach Chandler Lake. And yet, something isn't right. I can't shake the unsettling feeling that I'm being watched. I'm not sure if it's a person or something else, but I hear a howl that sounds like an animal's. However, when I start looking for the source of the sound, I find nothing there. I'm feeling more and more uneasy. November 2nd noon, I'm growing increasingly anxious. Deep in the forest, I stumbled upon enormous footprints that were at least twice the size of mine. Nearby, I discovered crude shelters made of branches and signs of broken twigs. Was this the work of hunters? The strange, unsettling sound I've been hearing for several days has returned, and I'm terrified. November 4th morning. Today I captured something striking and unsettling on camera. In the distance, I noticed what at first looked like a bear standing on its hind legs and watching me. But it wasn't a bear. It looked more like a completely black, human-like figure. It was too far away for me to tell clearly whether it was a human or an animal, but I had the eerie feeling that it was following me. I need to pick up the pace and leave this area as soon as possible. November 5th night. I finally reached the area around Lake Chandler, but as dusk fell, I had no choice but to set up camp for the night. In his journal, he noted that he had just enough sausage and steak left for one final dinner. Hoping that the mysterious creature was far behind him, he tried to settle in for the night. However, at 10:30 p.m., he heard footsteps outside his tent. That oppressive feeling returned with renewed intensity. "It's here again," he wrote. "The air has become stifling. I'm terrified. Someone please save me." Judging by the entries in Thomas's diary and the footage retrieved from his camera, it is highly likely that he encountered a Yeti-like creature in the remote wilderness of Alaska. The first signs of trouble appeared on September 15th, when Thomas arrived at a shelter in the Brooks Range. It is believed that the smell of the food he was cooking there may have initially attracted the creature to his location. September 28th. Night. It is believed that a hungry Bigfoot approached Thomas's cabin. Probably drawn by the smell of food, the creature surveyed the surroundings before attempting to enter. Realizing the impending danger, Thomas decided to leave his shelter. However, the next morning, instead of returning to a safe place, he headed even deeper into the wilderness, toward the more remote Lake Chandler. The reasons for this decision remain unclear. One theory I found suggests that his scheduled return date had not yet arrived, and he decided to stick to his original route. Another theory is that he may have mistaken the encounter for a bear attack and believed that moving on would protect him from further danger. As he made his way toward the lake, the pursuit continued. In legends, the snowman is often described as an extremely elusive creature, capable of silently watching people long before they realize they are being watched. Thomas often reported hearing strange sounds whose source he could not identify, which only intensified his fear and confusion. While preparing his last supper, a strong odor may have triggered another encounter. It is believed that this time, the creature launched a direct attack on his camp. One theory suggests that he fell victim to a wild animal attack. Given Alaska's vast, untouched wilderness and rich wildlife, it is entirely possible that he lost his bearings and was attacked by a grizzly bear or a mountain lion. These predators, especially during periods of food scarcity, attack camps and people. Despite a massive search, his body was never found, and his disappearance remains a mystery. Another theory points to a more mysterious encounter with Bigfoot. Unlike bears, Bigfoot is active year-round, constantly searching for food. This theory aligns closely with the evidence found in the video footage Thomas discovered. It was filmed on the night he described in his diary as the night of the attack. The recording features howling sounds that do not match any known animals, such as bears or cougars. In the second segment of the recording, Thomas is deeper in the forest. Distant screams and heavy footsteps can be heard around him. He turns the camera several times, trying to pinpoint the source of the sounds, but nothing visible appears in the frame. Taken together, these recordings support the frightening possibility that he was being pursued not by an unknown predator, but by something unknown and unnatural lurking in the wilderness. One of the last videos he filmed showed disturbing structures deep in the forest, constructions made of stacked wooden stakes and branches arranged in an unnatural pattern. Several photographs captured a cave at the edge of the forest. In one particularly eerie photo, a dark humanoid figure, completely black and motionless, appears to be staring intently right at Thomas. When zoomed in, the image becomes blurry, but its presence is undeniable. He also photographed giant footprints scattered throughout the area. Alaska's vast and mesmerizingly beautiful wilderness has long attracted adventurers, hunters, and tourists seeking solitude and challenges. But it is also notorious for unexplained disappearances. Statistics show that every year, hundreds of people go missing in the state's national forests. Many of them are never found, leaving no trace behind. To some, venturing into such isolation may seem reckless, but for others, it reflects a deeply rooted human desire to explore the unknown. Unfortunately, this desire often ends in mystery, or something even worse. In his last diary entry which I found, Thomas wrote, "That familiar howl sounded outside the window again. This time there's more than one of them. I'm so cold. I hope that when I fall asleep I'll never wake up again."